All right. Imagine being a baby, almost 1 year old. It felt like just last week you realized your neck is actually a muscle that you have to learn how to control to avoid that noodle necking your head and catapulting yourself out of your mother's arms. Then imagine your parents dress you up like one of those fancy porcelain dolls that is far outside of your income bracket and marches you into a cathedral where there's an eerie echo that somehow only favors really deep voices and then hands you to a strange man in a robe, all for the purposes of you not going to hell. You know, in case of an emergency. Yeah, I just jumped right into a story about my Catholic baptism. But don't worry, it's a short one. As a matter of fact, my entire Catholic life is a short one. It started and ended with my baptism. I didn't really grow up in a religious family. We claimed Catholicism because that's what was handed down to my mother from her mother, but we never went to church. We didn't even have a Bible in our house until I brought one home in the 6th grade. My family life was pretty much as broken as they come. My parents were addicts, and their significant others were addicts. Oh, yeah, my parents divorced before I was 5 years old. So I've only ever known that split household life. I lived with my mom, her boyfriend, and my half sister that I whole love. The only faith we had in our home was faith in our ability to cut the lock off our water meter when our utilities would get shut off for not paying our bills. Life was crazy, but it's all I knew. So I adapted to what I was given. Sometime in the 6th grade, I started to get God curious. I had a Christian friend that introduced the concept to me, but I was pretty hesitant because if God existed, my life was proof that he was a jerk. And I don't really like jerks. But I was curious enough to go to a few Bible studies at her house. Her mom gave me my first Bible with the inscription, "Dear Rachel, you've got the gift, and no one can take it away from you, and there's nothing you could do to lose it. He loves you, always has, and always will." Of course, as an ignorant 6th grade girl navigating new hormones and chaos, I had no clue what she meant by the gift. I don't remember getting a pretty package wrapped in a bow. I also didn't know then that it was going to take me almost 20 years to finally understand what the gift actually was. Once those new hormones fully set in, I abandoned any curiosity I had for anything other than boys and bad habits. I said, "Farewell, God. It was nice not knowing you. Thanks for nothing. Going back to this messy life that you apparently planned for me." I ended up spending several years of my life seeking out attention and validation in all the wrong places. I had a deep and pathetic void in my spirit, which I filled with everything except what it was truly longing for. Fast forward to age 23. I was in a loveless marriage, trying to solve all our problems by having a baby. Because my underdeveloped prefrontal cortex thought, ooh, nothing says healthy marriage like bringing a baby into dysfunction. This innocent child will no doubt have a bigger therapy fund than college fund. It took us 6 months of making deposits into the baby bank before I actually got pregnant. And of course, with my perfect 2020 vision in hindsight, I see that was red flag number 1. Actually, probably red flag number 368, but who's counting? I spent the first 3 months fully obsessed with becoming a mother. It's all I talked about. It's all I thought about. And it was the sole purpose of every shopping trip I made during that time. My first doctor appointment was so cool. I got to see this little bean with a little windshield wiper heartbeat flicker through the ultrasound. My second doctor appointment was a 12-week checkup, and it was expected to be business as usual, but that actually wasn't the case. During that appointment, I learned that my baby no longer had a heartbeat, and I was crushed. My body didn't recognize the miscarriage, so just nestled in my uterus was a bean measuring no more than 10 weeks old. I was sent home that night with a medication that would put my body into labor to flush my deceased child out of my body. They gave me 2 pills and one medication fact sheet, and that was it. I'll skip the details, but that night was the beginning of any red flags turning into full-fledged lights and sirens for my marriage. I wasn't supposed to be there, so 3 months later, I left. I walked away carrying my bags of grief, shame, embarrassment, and clothes for the next week. Not long after, while I was living with a friend, I met a boy. Actually, I'll give him the credit he deserves. I met a man named Jared. He was the absolute opposite of my type. He was quiet, certain, had a shy confidence about him, and you could smell the functional family just radiating off of him. He was the typical good boy from the right side of the tracks. Immediately, I am drawn to the foreign nature of his upbringing that produced that man, and he is somehow drawn by the foreign nature of the chaos I carried. I was cracked and shattered, but not broken beyond repair. We dated for almost 2 years before things really kicked into high gear. One night, I said out loud to him, I am never getting married again. And he got this, well, what the hell are we doing here then? Kind of look on his face. And then he said, look, I believe in God, marriage, and a family. If you can't get behind any of those, then I'm not interested in this relationship. Pfft, okay. But my rebel spirit kind of wanted to rocket launch myself out of there screaming, then bye, Felicia. But the assertive certainty he had was, well, it was kind of hot. So I stayed, and over the next several days, I reflected on my true feelings on the subject. Family? Yeah, I actually do want a family. Fine, green light. Marriage? Fine. I love this man enough to commit only to him and not consider the shame and embarrassment from my failed marriage attempt prior. Greenish light. God? Well, shit. I don't know. Can I believe in something I once sought after but couldn't find? Maybe I could pretend or at least support his love of God and then not have it be a deal breaker. Yellow light. Eventually, while I was still dating Jared, we became pregnant, and instantly I was terrified. It took me a few weeks to even tell him because I knew this could possibly crush and break his parents' hearts. We were unmarried and pregnant. Now, by this time, we knew we both actually wanted to get married eventually. There was just, no ring on the finger yet. After some initial shock and now what moments, we spilled the beans to our families, and it was actually all love and support from then on. However, I could not shake this fear of another miscarriage. I would talk to my body as if I was willing affirmations into reality, pleading for my body to protect this baby and carry it to full term. Over time, I realized that just talking to my body wasn't enough. So I found myself praying to a God that I didn't actually know, desperately begging, God, if you are real, protect this baby. The anxiety and worry became my everyday. One day, I finally told Jared I wanted to go to church with his parents. I don't know why, I just needed to go. I would sit in the services, not listening to a word the pastor said, and instead just pray to God about this pregnancy. It felt like I was trying to get closer to the mic by sitting in those services saying, God, hear me. I'll say that was the official start of my conversion from trash bag to disciple. I finally started to realize that I actually needed something greater than me. The little drops of Jesus that entered my heart from prayer actually started to fill that void that I was stuffing with lies and fear. In 2013, I started to call myself a Christian. But see, I was the heart Christian, not the head Christian. I sought after the love of God and can feel it entering depths in my spirit I didn't even know existed, but I didn't have the wisdom of God. I was faithing it in hopes I would make it. I had only just started really trying to read the Bible, but I became convicted not through scripture. It was through experience, emotion, and divine transformation. All of that would later lead me deeper to Scripture and consequently even deeper to God. The road trip to Christianity continued until I finally made the choice myself to get baptized in 2016, after my second child was born. I can't say I had a lightning strike moment in my faith journey. It was more of a constellation, drawing lines between the stars that made the bigger picture. And I started to notice God in my past when I turned away from Him. I noticed God in my broken family when I rebuked the idea of a loving God. And while I was in the midst of trauma, I saw God in my failed marriage at 23 and the divine appointment of the true husband He designed for me in Jared. Accepting Jesus didn't erase my past. It actually illuminated His footsteps that were all along the way. Accepting Jesus didn't grant me a life of ease. I wanted it to. But instead, it defined my purpose, and it pointed out the path laid out for me. I went from brokenness to belonging simply by knowing the one who created me. So, here's the deal, friend. If you're sitting in the middle of your own mess right now, wondering if God accidentally skipped over your file or hit shuffle on your life, I see you. I've been you. And I want you to know you're not too far gone, too broken, too messy, or too late. God's not intimidated by your chaos. He's not standing at the edge of your disaster with a clipboard and disappointed sigh. No, He's already in the middle of it. Boots on, sleeves rolled up, ready to walk with you through the fire and the awkward family dinners. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need a seminary degree or a perfect past. You just need a mustard seed of faith and the courage to say, okay, God, let's do this. Because faithing it till you make it isn't about pretending. It's about persevering. It's about showing up with your cracked heart, your questionable decisions, and your unmatched ability to cry and target and say, I'm here, Lord. Do your thing. So keep going. Keep praying those messy, awkward prayers. Keep asking the hard questions. Keep laughing through the tears. And keep trusting that the God who saw you in your brokenness is the same God who's leading you into your belonging. You're not alone. You're not forgotten. You're not a lost cause. You're a walking testimony in progress. And I'm here to cheer you on every step of the way. If any of this gave you a little bit of hope, a little healing, or just made you laugh at my tragic noodle neck baptism story, then share it with someone who needs it, subscribe, leave a review, or just send a message. I'd love to hear your story too. Until next time, keep showing up, keep trusting, and keep faithing it till you make it. Love you big.